We all know Undertale, Hades, and Hollow Knight, but it's kind of crazy how big the old indie backlog actually is. And if, for some strange reason, you don't have enough amazing new games to play, while, for a bunch of good reasons, don't want to dip into the AAA space, we have got you covered. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 20 legendary indie games you should not miss. Starting off at number 20, it's Cultic. Scoring headshots has never been more satisfying than in Cultic. This game transforms you into a headshot machine, blasting fools with extremely accurate weaponry and taking on impossible odds as you fight off against the Doomsday Cult. It's not your average boomer shooter either. You're free to tackle every challenge with creativity and elements of immersive sims. You can grab weapons off the ground, set off chain reactions of chaos as you explore giant maps like an abandoned shopping mall or a sprawling Renaissance fair. It's also one of the spookiest games of the year that's absolutely exploding with creativity. Every level introduces a new weapon, a new monster, or a new challenge to overcome. The game rapidly swings between pure action and pure horror sequences. It never lets up. It throws new, twisted things at the player relentlessly. There's always something more here. One level introduces unique skeleton enemies that never appear again, or you can complete a hidden puzzle in a mansion that unlocks a powerful sniper rifle that's easy to miss. It's a game bursting with indie energy that only a small team could make. Also small, the ratio of people who are actually subscribed to us compared to how many people who watch us. And it's because of this we have to ask you, hey, could you become a subscriber? It helps us out a ton, and we hope it helps you find some stuff that you want to see. So we gotta thank you for clicking subscribe, and let's get back to the video. At number 19, it's UFO 50. If you want a game that's all about more, UFO 50 is the best example you are ever going to find. If you've ever heard of Action 52, an awful collection of games on the NES, you'll understand what the UFO 50 thing is, what it's going for anyways. UFO 50 is a collection of 50 full games. Sometimes they're simple, sometimes they're really complicated. Some games you run around, press a single button to platform through an alien environment. Others are horror games that require a bunch of puzzle solving. There are games from every old school genre here, and like other games on our list, the creativity is overwhelming here. It's the kind of joyful video game project that could only come out of an indie studio. There's passion here a bigger studio couldn't and probably wouldn't even try to replicate. Why make 50 unique games? That's a lot of effort. The answer, though, is because they wanted to. Big game studios don't do things because anyone wants to, per se, unless you consider the market a person, which God help you if that's the case. Anyway, every game here is very simple. Pixel art graphics, mechanics can be figured out in a few seconds of button mashing. That's why it's so impressive. We can barely play and master half of these games, but UFO 50 just keeps giving us more. If one game doesn't interest us, you just keep playing and you'll find one. At number 18 is Look Outside, one of our favorite games of 2025, made by a single dev. This is a twisted JRPG where you explore your cursed apartment building after a mysterious event has changed the world. Anyone who looks outside is afflicted with a terrible transformation, and those unpredictable transformations are why Look Outside is a masterpiece. Almost every encounter in Look Outside is unique. You'll face off against dozens of weird monsters. Some of them are friendly, some of them are absolutely not. Discovering the truth behind the event is one of our favorite gaming experiences. None of the monsters you encounter are bad. And by bad, I mean like boring or uninteresting or ill-advised. I don't know. But what first appears to be a straight-up horror game is kind of a silly, darkly comedic twist on Undertale. Some of these sick, twisted psychos are actually pretty nice when you get to know them. Another way that they're not bad. A giant swarm of cockroaches, it just wants to be your friend. Creature leaking out of a pipe wants to give you a love letter. Despite the hostility of your new world, it's a game about connections, and making a connection might be the only way to save the world here. I don't know if I'm talking about the game or if I'm talking about real life. Either. And number 17 is Tactical Breach Wizards. Created by the sole developer behind Gunpoint, Tactical Breach Wizards is another small-scale project that mixes XCOM and tactics stuff with magic, making a really unique, fast-paced, and really fun puzzle game. Each wizard has a particular set of skills, pause for take and clip, and a whole bunch of tactical gear. You weave through these bite-sized combat scenarios as you breach from one room into another. It's just a pleasure in game design too. Mix in an absurd Metal Gear-like conspiracy thriller, it's easily one of our favorite indies. It's a game about using weird powers for the most efficient takedowns, giving you more creative control as you fight through armies of paramilitary thugs. Failure is not the end either. You'll be able to rewind time and try new wild approaches of room-clearing goodness. Chain lightning is probably one of the more average powers here. Summoning a being from beyond time and space to eat enemies is one of the more, colorful options. There's a lot of unique operators and a full story campaign to explore as you level up, gear up, and knock so many enemy soldiers through windows. I mean, it's so many that you're gonna do that too. And number 16 is Total Chaos, a shadow drop from the team behind Turbo Overkill. Another game that belongs on a list like this, but we have to limit ourselves somehow. Total Chaos is much more fresh in our minds, so we're going to talk about this survival horror masterpiece. Originally created as a mod for Doom 2, and yes, really, Total Chaos is a hardcore horror experience that we'd only recommend for diehards that can really handle the pressure. It's a game where you have to really carefully manage your inventory, and you're never going to have as much ammo as you want, because, you have to kill a bunch of things that, all of them are out to kill you. Like the best games in this genre, you really never know what to expect next. Early in the game, you'll encounter a monster that chases you only when you're not looking at it. Later, you'll have to sneak past swarms of monsters that are afraid of the light. And even later, you'll need to sprint away from a hulking beast in an infinite library that can't be stopped. One level has your character stalking through a maze-like catacomb with a killer creature that can only spot you in the light. You have to blow out your lighter to stay alive. It's a scary game that throws everything at the wall and sees what sticks, and, well, all of it sticks. And number 15 is Blueprints. One of the most impressive indie games of the year is also one you've probably heard of. It's a roguelike about solving puzzles and exploring a mansion with a layout you create. Opening doors gives you the option to spawn one of 3 rooms, and there's dozens of rooms to discover as you meticulously explore every possible combination of floor plan. The goal is to reach the hidden room, but getting there is a whole lot more mysterious than it seems. There's hidden switches, secret contraptions, and in-depth puzzles around every corner of the mansion grounds. Eventually, you'll be able to unlock permanent changes and an entire underworld of rooms that permanently stay even after transitions. Discovering the secrets of Blueprints are a rare puzzle game treasure that also becomes just impossibly convoluted the more you explore it. Getting the final room for the first time is not the end, and if you're the type that cannot stop thinking about unsolved mysteries, Blueprints might be your next obsession. And number 14 is Pizza Tower, one of the wildest games of the last few years. Pizza Tower is just indie maximalism. Everyone is screaming, alarms are blaring all the time. Pizza Tower is a 2D platformer with Sonic the Hedgehog speed. Wario Land style level and move design. And honestly, a bunch of stuff that reminded me of Earthworm Jim for some reason. I don't know if it was the animation or something else, but I don't know, there's a whole lot of other stupidity. That's probably what it was. You fight animatronics with a shotgun, you sprint to escape their clutches, you shoot through evil clones in a secret lab, you race from the end of the level to the beginning before you're out of time. There's an annoying trickster called the Noise based on the Domino's mascot, the Noid. A little more murdery, this guy, than the Noid. The Noid just wanted to, take your pizza. But the Noise is in a tower of pizza, the Pizza Tower. He doesn't need pizza, so more of a killy guy. Pizza Tower is packed with over-the-top animations that break every rule of conventional animation. Maybe that's what makes it so funny. It's just chaos. You're thrown from one silly stage to another, like you got pepperoni levels and cheese levels, and it's fun. They've all got unique enemies and power-ups, and you do have to learn them quickly because speed does matter. Every level, like I said, ends with that timed mad dash to the exit. I mean, it's gold. It's legit gold. If you haven't played Pizza Tower, I don't know what you're doing. And number 13 is Katana Zero. Everyone's heard of Hotline Miami. As part of the early indie boom period of gaming, Hotline Miami became a well-known part of the indie game pantheon. We've only got about 20 spots on our list, so gotta talk about something a little different here. Katana Zero is a 2D platformer in the style of Hotline Miami. It's a game that is focused on clearing rooms and enemies with tactical precision. If you want to win, you got to be laser focused with your timing and your strikes, counter projectiles, dodging of traps. Everything wants to kill you in one hit in Katana Zero, which is one more than zero, so I guess from a certain point of view, that's fairly generous. I don't know. You got to make a lot of decisions on the fly, though. Will you save a particularly tough enemy for the end of the run or try to take them out early? Will you attack from above and quickly wipe out multiple enemies or lure them away one by one? There's tons of tactical nuance to how you can handle each situation here, and after every impossible battle, you're rewarded with a full playback of your successful run in real time. It's a great twist on a genre that is absolutely worth checking out. And number 12 is Crow Country. Indie developers are keeping the survival horror dream alive. Survival horror games have long since ditched the fixed camera setup in the original Resident Evil, but Crow Country takes that basic premise, runs with it, and adds a bunch of new wrinkles to the genre. This is as classic as a survival horror can get. You're in an abandoned theme park with limited items, lots of puzzles. Instead of old school lock-on shooting, you gotta manually aim with laser-sighted weapons. To shoot targets and solve puzzles. It's all morbid, but never too scary. The PS1 style lo-fi graphics render everything in silly, simplistic Final Fantasy VII style polygon models. Kind of a Halloween treat we yearn for on a winter night. It's a perfect bite-sized game that encapsulates everything we love about survival horror. And number 11 is Bug Fables. The cutest game on our list is an ode to classic Paper Mario with a whole swarm of adorable insects to control. Bug Fables takes the cardboard cutout Paper Mario style, shrinks the setting down while expanding the premise, makes it one of the biggest indie RPGs in terms of size and scale on this list. There is an active turn-based combat system to perfectly emulate the quick, frantic fights. Even if you're not looking for a nostalgic recreation of an older video game, Bug Fables succeeds on simple, cute graphics and sweet writing. It feels like a bit of a game out of time from another era that's still worth checking out for anybody that is a fan of light RPGs. Bug Fables and Hollow Knight feel like the same idea taken in two really different directions. Hollow Knight and Silksong are the undisputed kings of video games. The games everybody's heard of and we've all played all over and over again. Bug Fables is a little lower on that list, but it's a game that we just don't think you should miss. And number number 10 is Tunic. This is a game that isn't all what it looks like. Blueprints might be the most complicated puzzle game in the last few years, but Tunic is the most meta. It starts out looking like a simple, cute little Zelda game that goes brain-twisting puzzle all over your ass, and you end up combing over pages of handwritten notes trying to figure out how to progress to the next stage of this elaborate mystery. This is where Tunic really shines. In the meta way, it forces you to contend with its many mysteries. You have to open a fake in-game manual to consult all the secrets. You have to learn how to progress through secrets by unlocking new pages in the manual, and it only gets more complicated from there. It's a game where it has an entire fake language the community had to piece together. There's just so many layers to Tunic, and if you love putting together conspiracy boards for a puzzle game that's really, really hard to solve on your own, maybe not even possible, I don't know, then go for Tunic. Throw back to number 9 with Lisa the Painful RPG. This is indie muck. Lisa the Painful is the kind of sick weirdo nonsense that can only come out of the indie development space. It's also a game you might not have heard of, so it's fully on board for this list. Lisa the Painful is a bizarro RPG about a post-apocalyptic man in search of his lost daughter. You explore a weird wasteland full of manly men and twisted, freaky mutations. As you progress through the game, you have to make sacrifices, including losing body parts that permanently change how your character looks and fights. You'll also find an entire army of bonus characters to unlock and fight with, and there's a reason there's so many. These extra characters can die at any time, and when they're dead, they're gone for good. We all know Undertale and Deltarune. These games are top-tier, polished pieces of storytelling everyone can enjoy. Lisa requires a different kind of sicko to love. If you're looking for something on the fringe of good taste, this one's one of our favorites. And number 8 is Sifu. The best martial arts game ever made did not come from a big studio. Sifu is an indie that pushes the boundaries of brawlers and tests the limits of your skills. Playing as a kung fu guy out for revenge, you gotta play through a series of linear levels that defeat the big bad at the end. Each one is a member of the gang that killed your master, and every time you die, your age goes up. You get exponentially older the more often you die, but once you get too old, you lose permanently. This is a game about starting from scratch, getting better, and attempting that final impossible run to reach the final boss. It's ridiculously difficult, with one of the most complicated dodge and parry systems in video games. It also features one of the most difficult final bosses in video game history, putting you against a beast of an enemy that counters your every attack and can't be beaten with cheese strategies like using your supers. It's an intense game that demands perfection, and it's one of those probably, if not the best brawler we've ever, it's one of the most fun brawlers we've ever played at very least. Just turning it on for footage, we want to keep playing. Taking down a room full of fools with your slick, perfectly executed moves, it's just a rare pleasure. Sifu's a real game with real money behind it, and we still think not enough people are playing. Check it out. Do not let this one pass. And number 7 is Hypnospace Outlaw, one of the most creative adventure games we've ever played, and after the sad cancellation of the sequel, feel like we need to talk more about this underappreciated gem. Hypnospace Outlaw is a recreation of the early internet, cheesy websites, goofy personal forums, rebuilt with period-appropriate detail. It's also a really funny thing. Encountering a fan site for the fictional Pokemon like Squishers, or listening to music from a musician called the Chowder Man, it's a rare joy. As an administrator for the Hypnospace platform, it's your job to find material against the rules and take it down, eventually leading to some pretty fun puzzles. You have to navigate links down rabbit holes and discover passwords to find all those rule-breaking images, and it's incredibly silly. We won't won't talk about it fully here, but the developers made their own joke boomer shooter called Slayer's X that is also worth playing. If you have nostalgia for mid-90s FPS garbage like Redneck Rampage, Slayer's X, it's gonna scratch that itch like nothing else out there ever will. Also helps that the games that it's clowning on are nowhere nearly as good as Slayer's X. I don't know. It's a joke game. It's a really good joke game, but it's a joke game. And number 6 is Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, one developer that has been working diligently to revive the top-down stealth real-time tactics genre. And Shadow Gambit's the most indie of all of them. The creators of Shadow Tactics and Desperados 3 finished the trilogy with Shadow Gambit, a beautiful little game about pirates and magical abilities. These are deeply intricate stealth games that auto-save every minute to help you navigate sprawling levels. You gotta carefully check enemy vision cones and set up strategies where multiple players can act at the same time, all required to overcome some seriously mind-bending challenges. Shadow Gambit takes the series pretty far with 8 playable characters too. Each one has unique abilities like possessing enemy guards, using a giant cannon to launch characters across walls. You can slowly dismantle enemy patrols through stealth too, or going guns blazing and just alert everyone. Have a big ol' violence orgy, you know.
Let's get you somewhere else.
Your character's got different strengths, different weaknesses, and it takes hours and hours of sneaking to learn the ins and outs. These games are also absolutely beautiful and very professionally designed, some of the highest quality indies on Steam. And number 5 is Case of the Golden Idol, an adventure game up there with Return of the Obra Dinn, a classic that everyone ought to seek out and play. While Return of Obra Dinn is slightly better known and has lo-fi 3D art, Case of the Golden Idol goes a different direction. It's all 2D and all bizarre with cartoonishly ugly characters that make memorizing faces a lot easier. And you will need to memorize the faces because it is another game about identifying characters. There are 12 gruesome deaths to explore where you're free to investigate each one separately with the goal of unmasking the true killer. You'll need to discover the motive and how the murders were carried out, and what makes this adventure puzzle game special is how much it relies on your real detective skills. Instead of railroading you through adventure game puzzles, you have to look carefully and listen closely. There are low information puzzles in this game that require deduction and intuition to put together, and that makes it really satisfying. Moving on to number 4, it's Penny's Big Breakaway. And guys, you all know what a big fan of Sonic Mania I am. This is the most colorful game on our list, and it came from the developers of that game. See, interesting thing here, this is a movement game. It's got momentum in the same realm as Sonic the Hedgehog, except for instead of spinning around like a spinball in a pinball machine, instead you have a yo-yo, a living yo-yo. Now, learning the ins and outs of the movement takes a little time to master, but once you're in the groove, this is one of the best feeling games in recent memory. Rolling and swinging through the memorably weird, massive levels is an absolute treat. If you tried this game and dropped it early, we gotta recommend giving it another shot. Penny is worth getting over those early struggles. The levels are designed for speedrunning, and once you've got a handle on all the awesome tricks you can pull off, it's a breeze. It's nice having a simple, colorful mascot platformer that's also this polished right out of the gate. And number 3 is another Crab's Treasure. Somehow the specter of Souls-likes hasn't shown up until just now. Most indie Souls-likes are a little janky and a lot samey when compared to the dark fantasy games that spawned the genre. Another Crab's Treasure is a very different beast. It's one of the silliest games we've ever played. You play as a hermit crab, exploring an undersea world, and the game looks more like SpongeBob SquarePants than Elden Ring. It's a cartoony, over-the-top, silly thing. Crazy boss battles, steep learning curve. That's Souls-like stuff, but it's not as tough as most games in the genre. It does require a lot of learning, but I don't know. There are some serious bosses. There's a weird, cynical story about the ocean floor getting dirtier too. The same developers made the widely popular Peak game earlier this year, and they found a much bigger audience. Another Crab's Treasure deserves a second look from fans of Souls-likes or fans of indies in general. It's a once-in-a-lifetime find in an ocean of mediocrity. And number 2 is Animal Well. We're always looking for more Metroidvanias on gameranx, and Animal Well might be the most unique Metroidvania we played in a long time. This weirdo puzzle game has you exploring an underground world full of ghostly, surreal animals, and like other puzzle games like Tunic, it goes off the rails after your first playthrough. There's multiple tiers to the game, but the first is mostly friendly for new players, walking you through every region, pitting you against different guardian animals, etc. One of the most infamous animals is a ghostly dog that chases you across the map while you dodge other dogs in the shrine. It's a spooky, memorable encounter that's also very difficult. You're only scratching the surface of what Animal Well has to offer at this point. Beating the game once unlocks an entirely new game as you gain new gadgets, unlock more puzzles, and explore an alternate world outside the well. It's a full, fascinating game for freaks like us who want to investigate the deepest, darkest secrets video games have to offer. You'll have to join the community to figure out the final mysteries of the game, but the journey up till that point is legendary. And finally, at number 1, it's Tempest Rising. This doesn't look like an indie game. It's a flashy, bombastic RTS. It's an homage to Command & Conquer in a genre that's been pretty dead, but hey, forges its own path anyway. Honestly, this looks as good as any modern video game release. The only times you'll tell how lower the budget must have been are some ropey in-game cutscenes and briefing scenes.
It makes no sense, but it's coming from the pyramids.
Sergeant, I told you! That's because the pyramids were built by...
But the actual mission graphics are absolutely gorgeous. Tempest Rising is incredibly fun, fully featured Red Alert-like with 2 campaigns and constant new additions. Each faction has a different playstyle, and there's a third playable faction coming in future updates. Just recently, the game has been updated to include super weapons so you can unleash traditional late-game weapons like nukes to blast a hole in your enemy's base. It's everything we want from a modern RTS. And it, might look too good to be true to you, but don't trust that instinct. It's made by Command & Conquer diehards, and it shows in absolutely every mission. This is one of the best indie titles of all time, and it almost feels wrong to call it an indie, but if you're published by the modern-day 3D Realms, you're an indie.
You got it. Target's an enemy. Getting into position.
Dynasty calling for help?
And that's 20 legendary indie games you really shouldn't miss. There's so many legendary indie games we've talked about so much in this channel you need to check out. Shovel Knight, Deltarune, Outer Wilds, many, many more. We're trying to talk about some of the lesser known games you might have missed, so let us know about your favorite underrated indie gems. We could do 100 lists like this, and it wouldn't be enough to cover them all, so keep that in mind. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club and listen to the Falcon Show. We've been having a blast over there. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.